Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the Apex fans present here today. We are back with yet another exciting session in JPAC office hours. We have with her here today Matt Mulvaney, who is a well-known speaker in the Apex community. He'll be exploring the workflow, working copies, and some of the Apex 23.2 features. So, a little bit about Matt. Matt Mulvaney, who is the CTO of Pretius, has around 25 years of experience in Oracle technologies. He specializes in Apex, Oracle Cloud, and Oracle Database. Matt likes meeting new people, traveling to conferences, and working on different projects. He's also a big fan of sports, regularly watches Leeds United, Formula One, and boxing. And not just as a spectator, he often starts his days on a mountain bike to tune his mind. Welcome, Matt, and over to you.
Right, hello. So I'm Matt Mulvaney. This presentation is called Exploring Workflow, Working Copies, and More. I want to cover the flagship features of Apex 23.2. There's a little bit about me. I know Apova has already said something, but I'm a low-code CTO of Pretius, the Pretius UK director, and also, as of yesterday, Oracle S director. So yeah, you might have seen me presenting around Europe or in USA. Quite a prolific blogger, creator of plugins, browser extensions, and also Apex World 2023 member of the year. One slide about Pretius. So we're one of the biggest Apex consultancies with over 60 Apex consultants. We love Apex. We like working with you. We like sharing. We've got 15 plugins, meet us at conferences. Some of our customers are spread out through the world. Also check out translateapex.com, which gives you a head start in translating your Apex applications to be multilingual applications. Okay, so let's get started then. So the agenda for today is, I just want to cover, like I said, there's flagship features, starting with Combobox, workflow, also working copies, and if we've got time at the end, some kind of miscellaneous summary features as well. And also, as we go along as well, I'll be showing you and highlighting some different tips and tricks and pointing out new features here and there as well. Okay, so it's going to be largely demo-based, is this, and we're going to start with a schema. So for an Apex application, we need a database. So this is a screenshot from QuickSQL. Now, if you want to use QuickSQL, go to quicksql.oracle.com, or it's actually a part of Apex. If you go into SQL Workshop, you'll be able to find it there, I think in utilities. Okay, so what you do to create a database schema is you use this short notation. So I'm using just a few keywords, and it's creating me a comprehensive database schema, including DDL and its diagram as well, which you also see on the right-hand side, which is a new feature of 23.2. So I'm creating a few tables, expense claim. So we're building this expense database. So the idea is you go on a trip and you log your expenses, and then you come back and then you submit them to your manager. So I indent a few columns like name and account ID and claim date, and it creates this table here, expense claim. Now, it didn't create claim date as a date, so you just have to nudge it with something called a column directive. So you say it's date there. For status, well, I'm on a check constraint that it's in new, approved, or rejected, but if you've got a null value, default null. So you see how simple it is to create a database schema. With expense item, that becomes a table itself. That's a child table of expense claim. And again, you've got description and category, and I had a few more columns, a check constraint, just to allow certain values in there. I've also got an account table, which I've linked to here, the account ID. I'll explain a bit about that a bit later on. And then you have these in QuickSQL, these settings. So it's Apex enabled, so it uses the Apex context in the triggers to provide audit columns. Audit columns are on, so you get the famous for, you get created by, updated by. It's also database 19C as well. It creates this diagram, which you can see in QuickSQL, and you can only see it once only. So you see this read-only diagram. I wouldn't have the arrows exactly like that. I'd have I like these crow's feet examples, and you can't change the tables around, but you can take a screenshot of it, I guess, if you want to. So when you create a DDL script, you run it in SQL Developer under scripts, and then it creates all those objects for you. So all those check constraints, tables, sequences, default values, it creates them all. And then there's a magic button at the end of that to create an Apex application. And that's what I've done now. So we'll go into a demo now until the end of the presentation. Okay, and this is my application. So I've got my homepage, my account. So I've got 3 accounts. These are very simple: department, general, internal. And I've got this claim as well. So I'll go into this a bit more detail later, but it's a very simple master detail interactive grid. So on departmental, this training, I went on a training course, on an Exadata course, it was £99. On this one, I went to a conference in Amsterdam. It cost over £100. So remember that. We'll come back to that later. I also visited the headquarters in London, and I had a snack on the way, £10. So you can see how this master detail interactive grid is working. And also I've got something called claim ID, which tells me the ID as I click on each one. So that one's 41, that one's 1, that one's 21. Okay, we'll come back to that later. I've also added a bonus table as well, this category table. So when I went to Amsterdam, I added a flight. So this has got a category, it's got an icon, like plane, and it's got a description, like flights within Europe. Okay, so what I want to do now is, remember on our claim, I want to link only certain categories to my account. So an internal account, I can have flights and taxis. On general, I can have food, but I can't have flights or Oracle University. So that's how I want to work it. I want to link these account IDs to these categories. So I want to go on here really, on departmental, and say I want to link some multiple categories. So what I could do is I could have a shuttle, and I could shuttle them all across. I could have maybe a list manager, maybe that would work. But what I want to show you today is a Combobox. A Combobox is good as well because I can add additional categories into this list as well. So, for example, maybe I went to the cinema, and the cinema's not on there. So what you've got to do is press cancel. You've got to go to categories. You've got to press create. You've got to put cinema in, press create, go back to the screen where you were on, open this up again. So I don't want the users to do any of that. I just want them to type in the new category as they come up with it. So yeah, this is a job for Combobox. So I'm going to add a Combobox. I'm going to quick edit approximately where I want to add it, and then I'm going to create page item below, and we'll call it categories. It's categories. Now in here, let's choose a Combobox. Okay, now something goes red here because that's not unusual for an item where you have to pick values. So you can use this, and you can click, and you can come and find it here. So I've got a list of values. It's a SQL query, and in my SQL query, we'll use this. So a display value and a return value. In the old days of Apex, in the help, it used to say DNR, like display and return. I just copy that system. I think they've changed it in the help. So any errors on this page now? No errors at all. So therefore, when I save the page, I just need to refresh this modal. Now, your favorite way of refreshing a modal, my favorite way, apart from Pretius Developer Tool, is reload frame. And that's reloaded the frame, and I've got an error straight away. And it says a manual entries item needs to be set if the LOV has a display value configured. Well, mine does. Mine just has a display value configured. It's called category. So Combobox by default wants to work with just one value. So one column, like flights, like taxi, like food. But I've got a return value because I need the ID. So the error message is saying I need a manual returns, manual entries item. So yeah, we'll create that one now. Just call it man for manual entries. Now, I normally create that as a hidden, so users can't see it, but I want to show you it. So we'll keep it as a text field. So again, one more thing. on the categories, on the settings, we need to say what that manual entries item is. So I'll pick man there. Now refresh. And that's a combo box. And it looks like a select list, doesn't it? It looks like I can click on here or click this down arrow. And if I do, look, I've got very similar to a text field, sorry, a select list. So I can click the down arrow, I'm going to click in the field, is the same thing. So I can pick taxi, I can hit the X. I can pick food, I can hit the X. And I can add something else, like that movie I went to see. Now, if I tab off, like move away from the field, the combo box accepts that value as one that it wasn't aware of, but it accepts it. And then it realizes it's not on that list, predefined list, so it moves it down to the manual entries item. What if I hit the X? It gets rid of the value, but it still keeps that one around. Don't worry about that. As soon as you move off the item, it's going to get rid of it. Okay, so yeah, that's how the combo box works, by having these list entries and manual entries items. Now, it also supports search as well. So if I press O, it searches for the letter O, so it appears in food, it appears in books, and Oracle University. Okay, let's try a few settings. So we can say match type contains. So if we do start with, and then refresh here, and type O in again, just Oracle University, because Oracle University is the only one that starts with the letter O. Now, this came up on Twitter or X the other day about pop-up LOVs not supporting it, but Combobox does support it. Okay, you can also, I'll just put that back to contains. You can also have case sensitive as well. So this is a contain search. So anything with an O, just food and books. So Oracle University is not there, but if I type an uppercase O, it does appear. So you've got the power of making it case sensitive or contains. Maximum elements in the list. Let's try that. Let's try that to 2. Reload the frame. Now, if I pop that up straight away, you can only see 2 items in the list. Even if I press O, you can only see 2 items in that list. What about OR? Oh, there's Oracle University. So it was just hiding. So there's 2 items in the list. The default is 7. My favorite value seems to be right, about 7. Yeah, so I'd suggest 7 is the correct number to present to your users. This minimum characters is interesting. So let's click in the box, search straight away, or click in this down arrow, search straight away. That's because I'm typing 0 characters in for it to perform the search. If you don't want that, you can change it to a non-zero value. So I'll do minimum characters 1. There we go. And look, I clicked in it, nothing happened. Clicked in this arrow, nothing happens. I need to start searching, and then it will come up with the values. Yeah, so if you've got a very long list, I would recommend having some kind of search. Or if your values always start with the same set of letters, like the first 3 letters are always the same, you might want to start searching from the 4th or the 5th character. I'll put that back to default. For big searches as well, there's a fetch on search. So this is like advanced caching. So for long lists, only when it searches does it start to fetch the data. Now, if you do that, it says it can only be used if the provided LOV has no display value configured. Okay, so it wants my list of values to go back to just 1 column. But I don't want that for this. So I'm going to turn that off. And if you turn it off, it forgets about your manual entries item. No worries, we'll just put that back. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. Let's have a look at the multiple values. Okay, so in multiple values, this gives me 2 more fields, multiple selection and separator. So my multiple values will be separated by a colon. Now you can put more in there and you can say separated by that string, but if you do that, it's only going to use the very first character of that string. So maybe improvement for the future, they will just allow 1 separator in there or support multiple strings. So this is multiple values now. Right, so reload the frame. Now I can pick taxi. Now what's happened there is it's put taxi as what's called a chip. Now we've seen a chip before. Is it in smart filters? We've seen it before in there. You can add another one. So as I'm picking another one, the drawer or the list disappears and it puts a chip in there. If I want to get rid of one, I need to press the X or backspace once, backspace twice, and I can get rid of them all. Yeah. So that's how that works. Also notice the drop down has disappeared as well. You can still use search, and search works as well. Okay, and you can still use multiple entry values as well. So let's pick taxi, let's pick movies, let's pick some kind of tickets, let's pick something that actually exists. So I've got taxi, movies, tickets, flights here. And you can see in the manual entries items, the ones that it's not aware of, it puts them down there. So what's the point of this manual entries items? So it's to add values into the database where they don't already exist. So let's have a go at that. So in processing, we'll create a process. And new is kind of correct, or new manual entries items. And in here, we're going to do our insert. So what we're doing here is selecting from that manual entries item, and then we're splitting it by colon. So it's like pivoting it. So it would select its rows, and each value is column value. So I can insert that into category. But I also have an icon name and a description, but I don't know what the icon is because I've only got one field. So I'll use some kind of like no entry icon here, and then we'll init cap the description. So give that a tick, and we'll have a go. So let's add a few and then put tickets in. So now when we apply the changes, we can go to category now. And look, tickets is in there. It's been added automatically. Let's just tidy it up. There's actually an icon called ticket, so we'll use that one. Now back in accounts, tickets is there for all other users to use as well. So they can just pick it as a regular item, and then they can start add more in, and then they can insert that into the database if they want to. Okay, so pop-up LV also supports pasting as well. So if I have this one, which is, let's just paste it here, flights, books, film, paste that into there, flights, book, film appears, and that manual entries item. You might want to think, how many other items does it support? Well, how about 500? So if I paste 500 in, it supports that, and you can keep going as well. A taxi, 501, 502. Food, so it supports that. If you want to get rid of them all, just got to press backspace for 5 minutes. No worries, you just close that down. Okay, it also supports things like computes and dynamic actions. Let's do a compute here. So I want to set the value in, such as, let's have listag. So this is the opposite from split, where we can get columns from a table and then put them in a varchar and split them by column. So now, reload frame, we've got computed values in there, predefined. We can add more. Now, as I'm picking more, I don't like this disappearing because I've got loads of items to pick. So what we could do is on here, use multiple selection. So on multiple selection, now look at that, we've got a tick box, and it just stays around for users to pick multiple items. So if users are generally selecting multiple items, use that. And then you can use search as well, and it's very, very easy to use. Okay, right, what else? Well, what about this icon? I said it supports icons here, so let's add some icons. So to add an icon, what you need to do is you need to convert this SQL statement into a list of values in share component. So how would you normally do this? You would select that all into clipboard. You go into share components, which overwrites this window. In a list of values, create a list of values, paste in the query, close the window, come back here, change that to share component, and then set it to the component you just created. There's an even better way. If you go into share components, or actually, I'm going to go here into extensions and then go into share components there. That way it opens up in a new tab here, and then I can just go into list of values. What I've just showed you there is a new feature in 23.2 called extension links. yes, the tooltip is extensions, but it is extension links. And I've put all these in here. And if you go on here and manage service, everything here is to do with workspace. So even though it says manage service, you might think it's instance. Everything's workspace here, including extension links. So if I click on extension links here, you put in a URL of where you want to go. So I clicked on this one here, which was shared components, which is like something like in here, shared components. And I need to add on the app session. So I've got this URL just by fetching this. Let's go back a page, fetching this URL here. At the end, it's got this session like 89, which is different from my session, which is 99. Yeah. So that's why I need to use the app session ID, not the session ID, the app session ID. And Apex supports a label, but not an icon. But look, I've managed to squeeze in an icon there because it supports emojis. So if you go and find a correct emoji, you can paste that in as a label. You can download it. You can download that as a CSV to export them. But unfortunately, I can't give you this list for you to import into your workspace because there's no upload button. And even if there was an upload button, this is my machine, not probably not your local machine as well. Okay, so where were we? We were creating a share component. Right, so in list of values, look at this. If we go to locally defined, it scanned my pages, and on page 3, it says, hey, you could use this as a list of values. Here's a convert button. So I'll convert that into a list of values. And now I've got a list of values called categories. And what's happened to my page 3? Well, if I refresh page 3 on categories, look, it's being converted. Share components P3 categories being converted automatically for me. So I'm going to click stay on page. And what I want to do is use this icon. Yeah, I've got DNR in there, but I need to add my icon column. So I'll change that query to a better version. So I'll use this one. So it's got DNR again, but also icon name. And I'm getting some initials, and I'm doing something with the colors here. I'll explain that later, and description. So give it a tick. Yeah, compiles. So now I have this icon here, and I pick the icon to use. Now in the help, it says you need to add a CSS class name for the icon. Yeah, I've got one, FA taxi, FA plane. If the item supports it, an icon will be displayed with your list of values. Cool. Currently, the only the only supported native item is the pop-up LOV. Well, this is not quite true because Combobox does support it. I'll show you in a minute. And there's also text with autocomplete as well, which supports it as well. So don't worry about that. It does support it. So I'm going to apply the changes. I tick to stay on the page, and there's a little bug in 23.2. It doesn't stay on the page for next time. So we'll tick that. But what's that done for our pop-up LOV? That has added an icon. So we've got tickets, taxi. So we can see the icon there. So that's cool. What else can we do on this page? Well, we can add some additional display columns. Now, if I just whack all those across from my query, I've got these additional columns here. I'm going to turn like some of these off to invisible. But description, I want to keep. Well, where's my tick? Stay on page. So what this means, if I reload the frame, I've now got description in there automatically. Now, because of description's got values like business trip, I could search for something like business trip, and there's taxi. So that's appeared. Maybe something to do with a meal. Oh, there's food. Yeah. So I like this idea of searching for these descriptions, but I don't like how cluttered this looks. So you can change that as well. What you can do is you can say description. I don't want to see it, but I want it to be searchable, just like the icon is searchable. So hang on, apply changes and reload the frame. So now I can search for the word business, and it's there, taxi. Search for the word plane or meal. Yeah, and the right value comes back. So yeah, that's cool. I like it a lot. What else haven't I showed you? I haven't showed you the HTML expression. So in the HTML expression, it says, look, define how choices are rendered. And here is something called template directives. So it supports HTML and template directives. So here's some HTML. Here's some like bolds. So it bolds the name and then uses the D, which is my display value. So yeah, supports HTML with the bold. But it also supports these template directives. So this is saying if you've got a capital, then add this HTML. And this HTML has got the ampersand dot for capital. Yeah. If you want to know more about template directives, install the universal theme as a progressive web app. So you've got access to it. I've pinned it to my desktop here. And you can use all these different directives and loops and cases and with apply. So the with apply, this is bringing like a template component in called theme avatar. Now, theme avatar looks a bit like this. You know, you pop it up, it's got some kind of initials or an image in there. In fact, we'll try that actually. Got an example. So in avatar, I'm bringing back an image and it's some kind of sword icon and some classes on there. Now, I'll save you a bit of time here, but this doesn't work. So even though template directives are supported, this is a server-side one. So the theme avatar server-side is not supported, unfortunately. That's okay, because what we need to do is just do how we used to do, just put a big load of HTML in there. So now with this HTML, I'm going to show you the pop-up OLV, and it's going to look very different now this time. Okay, this time pop it up. Look at that. You managed to style it with icons, with different colors and backgrounds, and yeah, there's initials there. Looks very different. Right. So one of the questions I see gets asked is, can you have the Combobox looking like this with a select list with all the power, but without this ability to type in a different manual entries items? And no, the answer is no. It's not possible to do that, because even if you could turn it off, then it won't be a combo box, would it? It won't be a combination of a text field and the select list. So maybe in the future there might be a different item, but I don't know. Okay, yeah, so definitely use it. Definitely use it in the use case where you are needing to add values in directly to this list. Okay, right, let's move on. Let's move on to claim and workflow. So in workflow, what we want to do is wire up this submit for approval button. So I click on Amsterdam conference and we submit that for approval, and the manager approves it and makes a decision on it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing is for high amounts over £100, I want a manager to check that's correct, that it should be internal and not for departmental or general. So check the account as well as approving the claim. So the first thing we need to do is we need to have some page where the manager can decide to approve or reject it. So this is called a task definition. So in the task definitions, yeah, just through shared components, task definitions, and we'll create two, one for approved claim, and we'll have the same word, but we're going to reference something called a parameter called claim ID. That'll become clear in a moment. Now, I don't have time in this presentation to show you one user submitting and another user approving. So we'll just do it all on the same user. I'm logged in as admin, so we'll just use admin. So that looks okay. So on this page, this one does work actually. On this page, we need to type in the number of the page where the approver is supposed to work with. We don't have one yet, so we'll get Apex to create a page number. It's created page 10, fine. On here, we want to go through a table, which is our claims table. So we want to approve a certain claim. I'm going to use a SQL query, and it'll be this one. So this is just selecting stuff from a Spence claim where ID equals this task primary key. Well, I just didn't make that up. That's actually on the help. So I'm going to pass in that and it'll use it. And I think we're done on that. I think we're done. So we apply the changes. That's approved claim. Just check. Yeah, I think we're done. So we'll create another one now. Task definition. This will be check the account. Now, this is a brand new feature, action task. So check account, action task, sorry, is when you want to give a custom action to your user. So you don't really care about approving or rejecting, it's just do something on the page. And again, the same thing, admin. Check account, this is an action task. Okay, this one I'm going to do pretty much the same. We're going to create a task details page. Going to create page 12 this time. The SQL query is exactly the same because it's working on my claim table. And you can add other things in here like a parameter. Let's just do this for no reason, just to show you can do it. So I've got a claim, I've got page 12. Right, we're ready for workflow now. So I need to go to Share Components and then Workflow, or use my extension link, go into Workflow. Now, if you use it through extension link, you get to see this Easter egg, which is your first workflow, which you can never see through going through Share Components, only through extension links for some reason. So that's a little trick there. So in Workflow, we're going to call it Approval Workflow, and maybe the same. Now that claim ID, I need to create that as a parameter. So no problem, claim ID. So we're going to start a workflow with a parameter, claim ID, the one we want to approve. Now in version, you're supposed to put like a version 1 in, version 1. Oh look, a rose as well. So it supports emojis in there. I kind of like using emojis often. In settings, right, this is for development. So as me with the developer bar, I can test out this workflow. And when I'm ready for the users to use it, then I'll click activate. If you click activate, it says the version must have a one owner to be activated. So if I click owner and search for owner and search for the page, I can't find it. It's because it's hiding under here. So it means participant. If you create a participant, a workflow owner is someone who can work on that workflow. And I'll do another one as well. So workflow administrator, who's got like an overall view of it as well. Okay, right, we're ready to do some diagramming. So something's gone red, which means I can't save. Can't save unless I fix all this red. Let's zoom out a bit. So I've got a start step, an activity step, and I've got an end step as well. So in my activity, I'm going to go straight away and approve the claim. So this will be a human task. And which definition? The one I've just created, human claim, which is the details primary key. Well, it's that parameter claim. And okay, so when they approve it, well, where are you going to store if they rejected it or approved it? Well, I want to store the outcome in this version variable. And I didn't create that. Workflow creates it for you. Task outcome, and that's down there, this variable task outcome. Right, so when we've approved it, we want to invoke an API. We want to actually update the status, don't we? So we'll say update status, and under there, gone too fast here. Click on that. I was clicking on the arrow by mistake. So the package, now you can update. For invoke API, you can use a package or you can use a REST source. I've actually got a procedure here called update claim status, and that accepts two parameters. Basically, which parameter you want to, which ID you want to update, and what's the status you want to change it to. So the ID is actually that parameter which we're going to invoke the workflow with, and the status, I know what that one is. That is the version variable, which is the task outcome. So we've got low code here. We're just pointing and clicking. So when we've updated it, we'll go to the end. And I think we're ready now. That's our first workflow. So all I need to do is edit that submit button. So what's that doing? That's submit approval. That's submitting the page. Cool. So down here, we'll create a process. Oh, let's not forget, let's link it to submit for approval. And under here, we're going to call it start workflow. So in Apex, you have things like verb noun, execute code, clear session state, close dialog, invoke API. In workflow, it's just called workflow. That's because the verb has been moved to the word to type. So start it here. So we say, well, what's your primary key? Well, look here, it's that one there, P11 claim ID, and that's what we're going to start the workflow with. We need to set the definition, approval workflow. Oh, there's our parameter. So our parameter will be the item again, claim ID. Yeah, I think that's ready. I think that's set up. So we'll give that a run. So for this Amsterdam conference, we're going to submit for the approval, and we've got a workflow instance activated. So, well, how do we see this then? How do we see the workflow has been created? Well, we need some view of it, don't we? So I'm going to create a view. So page. Now down the bottom, we've got workflow console, which is very similar to unified task list. In fact, it's got the same icon, hasn't it? So unified task list gives you a view of all your tasks for all your applications in your workspace. Just like the workflow console, all the workflows in all the applications in your workspace. So really it should be called something like unified workflow console or something. So we're going to pick it and we'll call it workflow console. Use the same name there. Right, because it wants to do all of my workflows in all of my apps, I just want to say, don't do that. Just limit it just to my application here. So uncomment that. Okay, so we've got our first approval workflow here. Now, if I click it, it says it's start and it's approved claim. Well, what does that mean? I know. It's at start, it's approved claim, and then it'll be update status, and then it'll be end. So it's got stuck here, start and approved claim. We know the parameters is claim ID 1 for that conference. Variables, well, we don't know the task outcome yet because we've not approved it. So I want to approve the claim, but I want to click it. If I click it, I see some like developer information, like debug information. So I want some way of working on that claim so I can decide whether to approve it or not. No worries. Let's just create a task list, a unified task list. So I'll just call it tasks. And I want the overall view. So we'll use admin tasks. And then we'll create page 15. Same thing again. I don't want to see all my apps tasks. I just want to see this app's task. So I'll remove that. And I can see a task there. By the way, it's adding more fields, more menu entries here. So I've got workflow console here, and I've got tasks here. So I can approve the claim. So I look at this and I can design all of this page myself, and I can put up the items and for the manager to review it, and you can release and delegate and change priority, but I just want to approve it. So I approve it, the task becomes completed. I go for the workflow console. Oh, that's completed now. If I look up here, start, approve, update, end. Variables, we know it's approved now. Then with the parameters, this must mean only one thing. It's been approved. Cool. So let's set that to new. And we'll start again, but we'll go a bit wild now with this example. So we're going to break this link here, and we're going to add a few more of these activities. So we're going to do a switch, and the switch is called, was it approved? And we'll do another switch, and this will be, so switch is like a decision point. Is it a high claim? If it's a high claim, we'll do another human task, and we'll say, check the amount of the account. And well, what haven't we done? We haven't done execute code. Execute code will be update status, but this time in PL/SQL, because we had this in this one here, which is API. Right, so let's do some arrows. So approve the claim. we'll go into was it approved. Now this one's easy because we will just say true or false check. What is the workflow variable task outcome? Is that approved? If it's approved, then that must be a true. So under there, we'll say true. And we'll say, yes, that was approved. Under here, we're going to go down to there. That's a false. So it's not approved. No, not approved. Let's get some space here. Right, so that was easy. If it's going down to no, it wasn't approved, then remember this one just update the status. Is setting the status of the task outcome anyway. Right, is it a high claim? Well, this is a bit more tricky now. This is a job for a variable. So I want to call it total claim. Same for the label. And the value will be a SQL query. So in here, I just want to do like a sum. So select sum of the amount using that parameter again. So the variable total claim will hold the total claim. So in my true false check for is it a high claim, I can just put an expression. And my expression will be, was the total claim over 100? Right, so if it's true, then we'll go here. True, you're a high claim, and false, well, you can go and update the status then. False, low. Yeah, so with this notation, I'm building up my workflow and then check the amount. Well, this is a check account. Remember we did that a few minutes ago? The details primary key is the claim ID. We don't need to know the outcome this time. Oh, something else has gone right. Oh, the claim ID. So we need to set, this is the item, claim ID. Right, so that's done. And then we go down to update status and in update status, we need a piece of code. And we'll just use our update statement. So update it to approved. We know it's approved because it's come this way. Okay, something else is red. I think it's the arrow there. Yeah, it's gone. So we're ready for our second workflow now. So let's just refresh this. That goes into the workflow console. What step are we on? Second one, approved claim. Oh, look at that, got total claim now, 157. So we know it's a high amount. So in our tasks, we're going to approve this one. Tasks approved. We go to the category. It's still active. So we're going down to here. Was it high claim? Oh, we're checking the amount. So it must have been a true for that switch there. So now we need to go to check the account. So we must have another task for that. And we do. Check the account. Now on this page, remember, this is an action now. This is not an approval. So Apex is telling us, like, can you just sort out this page? Can you just build it so it can do the action that you want to do? Yeah, no problem. So remember, we need to check the account is correct. It was current on internal. We need to check if that's correct. So I'm going to change it to a form, and we're going to change it to expense claim. And I don't need to set all the columns, do I? So I'm going to change all that to hidden, and the account ID, that can be a select list because you can change it if it's incorrect. And I think I do have a account name. Yeah, cool. Right, so that's my form. And by creating a form, it should have created initialize form. Yeah, so I just need to set the ID then, don't I, to get the correct record. Now, the ID, the claim ID, that's what I want to use. This is this claim ID 1. If I look at that, what an action is, it's using some kind of task parameters and bringing it out here. So I want to use a version of that to compute my ID. So it'll be loaded correctly. So let's use a version of that. You see, this looks similar. This is parameter value where it's claim ID on page 12. In fact, let's just close it. So, oh yes, it was internal, and I can change it if it was wrong. So if I can change it, I just need to, when I hit the complete button, I just need to update the table, don't I? No problem. So on complete, I can duplicate that. And this will be, I can use my invoke API again, can't I? So this time I'll be using a procedure which updates the whole table, update claim. I would recommend you use this invoke API. It's not new in 23.2, but it's, I think I'm going to say 23.1. It's almost new, and you can call packages and procedures within those packages or functions, and it supports complex types as well, so it's very nice to use. Just check everything's been lined up. P12, yeah, that's the only two that I'm worried around. So fine, that looks good. So let's open it again. So it is internal. We're going to say, well, sorry, it should have been departmental for that claim. But I've approved it anyway because I approved it here. So set it to departmental, complete. That task is complete, which means my workflow, yes, fully complete, all the way through, down to the end. And that must mean it's moved to departmental and it's approved. Cool. So yes, that's the end of workflow. I do like it. I do like how you can create these consoles and tasks. Imagine if you just had a status column there and you were trying to work out an approval rejection cycle and how many times it was rejected and what was changed in it and who approved it. That's a lot of work. So definitely explore the workflow elements of it. The diagram is nice and easy to use. You could see I was just throwing shapes up and drawing arrows. It does work really well, actually. It does feel like Page Designer, and there's some good tools there. So yeah, definitely check it out. Okay, what's next? Next can be, let's just close that down. Next will be working copies. So let's go back to my main application here. And I'm going to switch to the main. Now, I'll let you into a secret. I already had a working copy and it was demonstration, and I can just switch to it here. So all of this presentation so far was all done in a working copy. So when you first logged in, I hadn't done any of this workflow. I hadn't done any of this Combobox, and that's what main was like as well. So I'm still working on this application, and in some point in the next few minutes, I'll be merging the changes in. But let's just simulate on the main, which is before that pop-up LOV, someone else, another developer, has decided to work on this application. So what they will do is create a working copy here, and they would create a feature. They've got features to do, so they have a name of it. You can't choose your application ID, which is something I've just noticed recently. So what it's doing now is it's taken a copy of that application 222 and it's created another one, working copy, called 217. So that's my feature there, 217. I've been working all presentation on 216 and main was 222. Okay, so under here, notice I haven't got a page for workflow console. It was page 15, I think. I haven't got a page for tasks. In my account, which is page 3, there is no combo box here. Yeah, there's no combo box there. So let's simulate doing a feature. Let's do some work on the page. So on page 1, why not page 1? We're going to create a region and we'll call it my feature. Okay, so my feature branch, creating my feature. Now, if I run the application, I have to log in again. Because it's a separate application, first time I've run it. So I've got my feature there. Okay, what else can I do? Let's create, what can we do? A dashboard? A dashboard. Now, let's do it as a high range. I'll explain why in a minute. My dashboard. So this is a grid of 6 charts. So when you do a dashboard and do these charts, they're just static data. They're not based in tables in my database. And the idea is you go and customize them to how you want them to look. So that's my dashboard. This is my uh, feature. So I've done 2 things, a feature and my dashboard. Okay. Right, I've not yet finished, but in the meantime, this demonstration is ready to be pushed back into main. So what you can do is you can compare the changes. So what this is doing now is exporting the main application 222, and in a moment it'll export my working copy 216, I think it was, demonstration application, and it's exporting it into a format called YAML. Now, when you export your Apex application, you can export it in SQL format, which is hard to read. There's a lot of codes going on there. It's difficult to understand what things mean, and there's lots of IDs in there. You can also export it into JSON format, and the last version you can do that in is 23.2 because it's a deprecated feature and it's due for removal in the next version. Or you can export it into YAML, and it looks like YAML's here to stay because the working copies uses it. So when the difference between the demonstration and the main, look, I created this tasks page and this workflow console. The workflow console, this is the list entry. And you can see in YAML, and this is nice and easy to read. You can understand what things are. You understand what click counting is. Same on the LOV. This is that LOV we converted. The SQL's nice and readable now, isn't it? I can just copy and paste that out and run that without it being in some kind of escaped format. So that's nice. I would review all those, and at any point I can do that and review it. Now, there's more information here which we'll read together in a moment, but there's some top tips about it. When I'm ready, I could merge into main. Now, merge into main is exactly the same as what I've just showed you. It's the same page, but in a moment, when the screen unfogs, you can see that I've got a next button here, and that's when I'll go and merge the changes in. Okay, so now I'll say, yeah, I've finished with all that feature, the demonstration. You can now merge it into main. Now, you've got this backup target first, which I would encourage you always have that ticked. And then there's a delete working copy after merge, which I would recommend have it unticked because do you really want to overwrite main without a backup? And do you really want to lose all your work after you've merged it in? So I want to keep them as default. And I'll confirm the merge, which doesn't take too long, actually. Ta-da, they've been successfully merged. Now I'm into main application now. And if I run that, I need to log in again. I've got workflow console and tasks, and now I've got my Combobox. So all that's been merged in. Okay, right. Let's go back now to our working copy. The feature, do you remember on that? All we've done is that new region on page 1, and we've added that dashboard on page 200. Now, I want to refresh my working copy because I'm aware, or maybe I'm not aware, that changes have been done onto main, and I want to reflect those into my application. Okay. So again, I review all these tasks and I can say which changes I want in my application or not. Now, also, I should point out that as a developer page 1, I should notice that I've got that feature there, and it looks like my feature will be removed. So my feature, which is the static content, will be removed if I merge it. So what I should do is untick that so it will be overwritten. But I'm going to forget about that and merge it over the top. Back up my target app first. Fine, so all that's been merged into my feature. So what I've got now is I've got the workflow console and the tasks, but I've also got my dashboard. So I've got my dashboard there. That's all looking fine. If I click on home and just check out my region, my region's gone because it's been overwritten. But if this occurs, don't worry too much because down here you've got manage backups. You've just got that working copy, which was done a minute ago, and you can restore it. So, and it backs up again even before restoring as well. This doesn't take too long, and then I won't run it this time, but you can see that you've got your work back. You've got that work back, and then anytime you can remerge it over the top as well. Just by clicking here and refresh working copy, and it will refresh it. Also notice I'm on page 1 and I'm on to working copies. If you were to do this, this is nothing to do with page 1. It's always your application. Yeah, so just bear that in mind. If in the context of a page, you're not in page context when it comes to working copies here. Yeah. So so what I should do is just untick that and have another go, and it would, with a backup, it confirms that's refresh. I finish the work, and then I would merge it into main, which I'm not going to do at the moment. Okay, I think that's it for working copies. Let's just check the time. There's a slide that I said we're going to read. So about working copies, some tips. It says exporting an application with working copies does not include them. Okay, so if I export main, I don't get them. I need to export them separately. But if I use original IDs, it maintains the link with the main. If I want to unlink a working copy, I just copy the application out and into a new ID, and it's unlinked. If you want to delete main, delete all the working copies before you delete main. Developers can use distinct working copies to avoid overwrites, or as use reserved page ranges for each new page. That's why I use the dashboard on page 200, because I knew my features I could use from range 200 to 299, and another developer can use 300 to 399. And also agree on shared component names each developer will add. So if we both add a count as a shared component in a list of values, there's a possibility that that's going to conflict. Now, some things are not supported, like translations, themes, theme templates, supporting objects, and application properties and workspace level. Well, workspace level is not technically part of your application anyway. So developers can merge the working copy without deleting it and then apply the additions, okay? Some limitations: you cannot create a working copy of a working copy. If you delete a page, so I've deleted page 200 in my app, and it won't delete it from main. I have to go into main and manually delete it. And then components as listed as missing, which was one of the boxes, may have been removed in the working copy or unexisting main. So you need to sort that out. Okay. Okay, almost done. Have we got time for one more? I want a quick one then. Okay, let's go on to demonstration. Let's go to Page Designer. It's a really quick one, actually. This will be the QR code. Brand new feature. It's a new item. So we're going to call it QR. And this will be a new QR code. And we'll give it a nice label. And we'll give it a default value. I just put my name in, Matt. So run the page. And we've got a QR code, and we can scan that. If you hold your phone up against that and scan it, or on the YouTube recording, press pause, and you can scan that, and you've got my name. If you think it's a bit too small, then you can change the size to medium. Large is going to be too big for this presentation. So you got my name there. Now, I'm going to say this a few times, but QR code is behaves exactly like any other page item. It can be set in code, it can be set in session, it can be submitted, it's even got a protected value protected on there. I'm going to do a button to change it using a dynamic action, because that's completely possible as well. So I'm going to use set value, and we'll set it to my surname. Which item? Of course, the QR code. So I run the code, it uses the default value, it's Matt. I hit the turn that off. Okay, let's try again. So it's Matt, I press new, and it's changed to Mulvaney. And you can scan that, and you can set it through computations, you can set it through dynamic actions, and you can also set it through JavaScript as well. So in JavaScript, how about this? how about every 1,000 milliseconds or 1 second, set it to this new date. New date is this nearly new feature of Apex date format. You put an Oracle style date format, and this constructs a new date, and you get a string of today's date with that. So if I run that, you can see how early it is. So that's changing every second now. If you want to scan that, you can see that's changing every second. So yeah, I've tried exhaustively to test this, and this works really, really nice. Yeah, it can be set through all different code interfaces. Okay, cool. Right. So final few slides, not long left now. I like to end this type of presentation on the roadmap. If you want to see what the roadmap is, go to apex.oracle.com/SOD. SOD stands for Statement of Direction. And you can see there's really cool things on here which are generally on the roadmap. So AI-assisted development, so helping developers author with natural language prompts the data model, writing queries, building pages or entire applications. Visual application logic, showing page flow, reporting analytics, showing trends, like machine learning trends, like 30 algorithms supporting anomaly detection, classification, time series. We've also got some integration with developer lifecycle services. And I think the first step of this would be the working copies are demonstrated, but integrations into pipelines for CI/CD, Git, and artifacts and builds. We've got improved printing and PDF. You may be aware on the OCI cloud, there's a new docgen or document generator function, which allows you to pass a JSON of your SQL statement, which is very easy with Apex JSON, and combine it with a docx format, and it'll produce a PDF on your cloud bucket, which you can download. There's also, if you use Apex Cloud Service Console, there's more enhancements there. There's new REST source connectors for, look at this, for seamlessly integrating with REST APIs for external vendors. So a lot of cool stuff. Okay, that was it. That was the presentation. Come follow me on Twitter or X, Matt_Mulvaney. Send me an email about this presentation, mulvaney@pretius.com. Follow Pretius Software, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mac. That was a really interesting session, and I think you gave a lot of tips, which all of us here were really interested to see. I'm sure everyone agrees with me. So before we end this session, I would like to go over a few slides. As you all know, we have 2 learning paths which we have published from the Apex team, and you can take them by going to apex.oracle.com/go/training. We have 2 learning paths. The Apex Foundations is a 3-hour beginner course which gives you an overview of Apex concepts. And the next is the Apex Professional Developer course. And here you'll get an in-depth understanding of all the Apex concepts. So we have an associated certification with the course, and that is Oracle Apex Developer, Cloud Developer Professional. We highly recommend that you take up the Apex Developer Professional course before you take up this exam. And to register for the exam, you can go to apex.oracle.com/go/professional. As many of you might have noticed, we have released a new course called Apex 23.2, and it has most of the features that Matt showcased today. You can take up this course to learn in a structured way of all the new features of Apex, and upon completion, you will even receive a badge from Oracle. If you're a customer or a partner or an independent developer who have built the cool apps using Apex, please reach out to us, and we would love to host you in one of our JPAC office hours session. And we do record all the office hours session, and we upload it to a playlist on YouTube. So if you have missed any previous office hours session, you can head over to the following playlist and watch the recordings. And as Matt showed the roadmap, we have everything related to Apex on apex.oracle.com. So you can head over to the site to access all things Apex. And for those of you who are in India, and especially for the students, we have the Oracle Apex India user group are hosting Apex Hackathon, which is the first ever hackathon for Apex. And the registrations for the event are now open. So if you are interested to build some cool apps using Apex, head over and register your teams. And what's more is you have some great prizes at the end. The QR code to register is on the screen, so you can scan it to register for the event. And with that, we have come to the end of this session. I like to again thank Matt for especially presenting the session at 7 a.m. in the morning. So this shows your commitment to the Apex community, and we are really grateful for it. We appreciate it. Thank you, and thank you for all of you who attended today. Stay tuned for more upcoming sessions. Have a great day.